field. That goes Jackson to the warning track. Right back at the wall. It's out of here! Travis d'Arnaud with his first Major League home run.
But I just got to know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
Jackson to the warning track. Right back at the wall. It's out of here! Travis d'Arnaud with his first Major League home run.
But I just got to know one thing.
Yeah, you like that. Of course you do. Why wouldn't you? Damn right you do. Welcome to We Believe, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta enjoy the finer things. And by finer things, I mean Gary Cohen's voice of gold, as we all know. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to all that are watching live, and those of you who are listening, of course, on YouTube here. And of course, the We Are Mets Believers YouTube page and Facebook page. Of course, this is our first ever episode, so of course, allow me to introduce the panel, if I may. And of course, we'll be going over some of your questions that you have given us, and some really old '80s Mets music is playing in the background. Let me take care of that for you guys. There we go. So, without further ado, I know we have some technical issues to begin with. And let me just make sure that the let's see if I can take those off there. There we go. That way we could just. There we go. Now all the other technical hiccups will be good and taken care of. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, like I said, this is our first episode, hopefully of many more to come here on the We Are Mets Believers YouTube page. Of course, a part of the Facebook page on YouTube.com. And check out We Are Mets Believers. Mets is capitalized, Believers on their search. So, anyway, first let me introduce the panel before I start rambling more. Of course, we have a couple of admins that were gracious enough to allow this to happen, and we'll bring in the first one here. The first one that joined me first. We'll go by that. We'll go by in that order. So first, one of the admins, of course, Mr. Jordan Panich is here with us. Jordan, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
All right, doing quite well. I gotta highlight this so it doesn't switch over. There we go. All right, and of course, it took a lot of hard work to get him in here, but now we should be all good. Hopefully, we're all good to go. I see that he enjoyed our intro, which I'm very glad that he did. And that, of course, is the guy who runs the page for the most part. Actually, just runs it entirely. He's the guy who founded it, Mr. David Schwartzman. David, how's it going, sir?
I'm fantastic. Great to be here. Love the Mets. I'm ready to go.
Well, I would hope you do, because I don't know why you would be here if you didn't. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, for those of you everybody that is watching out there, you have yourself the wonderful return of this, just the smell of the green grass, the smell of the blades of the freshly cut grass, that the graded infield dirt. There's nothing better than that nice smell in the beginning of the spring to get a season underway. And there's nothing better, in my opinion, in the year from the first couple of weeks when you have Mets spring training. And guys, I will open up this first. I don't know how many games we've gotten through. I think we've gotten through about maybe like
10 to 12. 10 to 12.
Yeah, around there. I was going to say about 10. We'll start with start with Jordan, then David will chime in, and then I'll finish it up and go to our next little topic. What has your overall thoughts been on the spring overall, and what are some things that maybe not too many people have been talking about that you in particularly like that not too many people are really talking about? We'll start with Jordan.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. It's definitely great having baseball back. I mean, it's such a long off season. It felt like forever, but the smell of baseball is here. It's great following, baseball, even though it's just spring training. The games don't really matter, but watching the players, following everybody, it's been great so far. Personally, I'm really enjoying watching the guys who are still a year or two, maybe more away, that are, pretty prospects. Guys like Cesar Puello, Brandon Mo, Kevin Pilecki, Daniel Muno, Steven Matz, guys like that. It's fun watching them on the, playing with the big league guys, seeing them interact. I'm really enjoying that. But also, it's great to see the guys like Curtis Granderson, who's having a great spring so far. Travis d'Arnaud's hitting. It seems like Eric Young Jr. is hitting a little bit. So overall, it's been really fun. I'm enjoying following the team, and I really can't wait for baseball to come back.
David?
Yeah, well, obviously off to a rocky start in the beginning, that first game against Atlanta when they were up 4-1 and then they blew it in the last inning, ninth inning. But, the starting pitching's been great. I love Rafael Montero up till now. Noah Syndergaard and Zach Wheeler obviously have been performing at a phenomenal level. I've been love watching Curtis Anderson come in, work with those guys in the outfield, really show why we signed him for that kind of money. And, he's been hitting. You got to love to see that, especially when the doubters are saying that he's not going to be able to hit in City Field, but they're playing in dimensions similar to City Field, so I don't have any problem with the signing so far from what I've seen this spring, and a lot of stuff to look forward to come opening day.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of interesting things to look at. Obviously, for all the fans out there, it was really the emergence, the beginning of David Wright and Daniel Murphy starting to hit. Murphy's only had one game in. I think he may have turned an ankle, which we know happens, especially with the way Daniel Murphy runs. We can get into that a little bit later on in the year, probably. But anyway, and of course David Wright, who's got himself several at bats. Has been able to try to get the bat on the ball. He's not exactly running or really at 100%. He's just kind of letting the game get to him right now, letting the game come to him. He's definitely not rushing per se, which is a great thing. Let me see here. Hold on one. Him. Okay. Yes. There it is. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I love my computer sometimes. I don't know what it is. It just it likes to just say, "Oh no, this isn't working anymore." But anyway, it's oh the pain, So anyway, we should be back to go, David, Jordan. You guys are there, right?
Yeah, we're here.
Still here.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're right back where we were. Good. Anyway, like I said, Wright's just letting the game come to him, and I think you look at the rest of the team. It's nice to watch some guys like, I believe Jordan said it, like guys like Nimmo and who's been able to, to get in some ABs.
Yep.
Cesar to see how Cesar Puello can develop into. From what I can see, and from the numbers that he had in the short time that he did play last year at Binghamton, to me, he kind of seems like he could possibly have the ability, the potential of becoming a guy that he could be perhaps a possible fifth outfielder,
Yeah,
or excuse me,
but
not a fifth outfielder. I mean, a five-tool outfielder.
Well, there was a speculation about the PED, and he was suspended for that. So
yeah.
You never really know. But what he's put up in the past, he seems like he could be a phenomenal prospect. I mean, he showed power, speed, five-tool player. I'm excited to see what he can do, even though there's a little concern about the drugs.
Yeah,
okay,
I think like if you look at what Cesar Puello can really what the kind of attractiveness that comes with him, he could come as a really great trading tool if you want to add in those little pieces that teams look at and say, okay, this is going to be a good package. If you want a centerpiece like a Montero and you want to go get a very good player, a very good superstar, Puello is the type of guy that you're going to center that very, very good prospect with. A five-tool guy that can play the outfield. I don't think the Mets right now need that fourth outfielder. It's one of those things that they have a surplus of. So the question is, do they want to keep him around, or do they want to sort of use him to attract teams that possibly want to trade for like a Montero or a DeGrom?
Well, this is definitely going to be a big year because depending on how he bounces back from the suspension last year, if he does turn out to be hitting this year and he comes back strong and he's doing well, I can't imagine the Mets are just going to be totally having him on the trading block. I mean, the outfield, is all right now, but you definitely want to, if you have these top-notch prospects, you want to develop them and see what they can do. Now, depending on how people perform and how he fits into the plan, which we'll see later on, maybe he may be that guy that if people are offering something the Mets need, then they'll trade him. But as of right now, I think we just got to see what he can do, and I'm not sure will he start the year, probably double A or triple A, I'm not sure, but we'll see.
It's going to be interesting to see that too. Personally to me, I think just as long as you can see that he's hitting, whether it's at the AAA or AA level, you give him an opportunity to play on the major leagues, whether it's playing in the left field or right field. Only reason being because if he can hit well on a consistent basis, then he's going to automatically hit better than both Youngs as well in the Garris. That's my opinion. You're entitled to yours. Now, of course, moving on to going from a embarrassment of riches to an embarrassment of embarrassment, which is the shortstop situation that the Mets have to deal with. Because here we go. You have Omar Quintanilla, who, again, these are the guys that are on the roster before we'll go to Jordan here, okay? You got Omar Quintanilla, whose number is 0. That says a lot. You have Ruben Tejada, who still wants to try to hit home runs but can't. Wilfredo Tovar, who pulled a hamstring, but to be brutally honest, I kind of liked him better. And then there's other guys that are not, in the organization. Even guys like Anthony Saratelli's name has been put up, Daniel Muno, those types of things. Jordan, what do you think would be best for the Mets, and what do you think would be the best move for them to go for at shortstop?
Yeah, so this is a big question, obviously. I know he's not popular in the organization right now, but Ruben Tejada, he was a guy that was a big part of that team. Even, they were bad, but in 2011, he had 328 at-bats, a 284 average, 360 on-base percentage. And 2012, when he was the starting shortstop, he had 464 at-bats, 289 average, 333 on-base percentage. the guy can hit. I mean, it's not a question. It's just a matter of if he's going to put in the work and if he's going to be able to perform consistently like this. He had 2 bad months last year. Got injured, got sent to the minors, did not get time at the end of the season. That was pretty much it. So I think instead of overpaying for Drew or maybe giving up too much for Franklin, I think we should see what Ruben Tejada has left. I'm not going to give him more than a month if he doesn't perform. Start the year with him at shortstop, see what he can do. Remember, he also used to be a pretty solid defensive player. I mean, I can remember vividly him making some solid plays, and he was a guy that many people believe was the shortstop of the future almost. And it kind of seemed that just totally disappeared in one year for good reason. He was totally awful last year. But at the same time, I think it's worth giving him one more shot this year to see what he can do. Also, remember, in the offseason, after the season, there are some shortstop names that could come via free agency. So I think it's worth giving him one more shot and see what he can do. What do you think, David?
Yeah, no, I completely disagree with that. Tejada is definitely not the answer going into the future. He is... Listen, the guy comes into camp completely out of shape, okay? He comes in late. The only guys that can get away with that are top-notch superstars because they at least have the numbers to back it up, okay? Ruben Tejada is not the guy that's going to get away with a thing like that. So I'm not going with a scrub that's coming into camp late and out of shape. So, but what it looks like right now, obviously there are 2 main exterior options. The first one and the one that's been ongoing for the last 2 months is obviously Steven Drew. Now, what would it take to get a Steven Drew? It's been back and forth, but it seems like what it would take to get him would be like a 3-year, $30 million deal. It looks like they wouldn't want to do.
I'm not giving him that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I'm not saying that they should give him that. But I wouldn't go with Tejada. Now, obviously, he's just now Drew. Here's the thing about Drew. He's had good years, especially earlier on in his career, but he's slowly been decreasing in his value. He's a lifetime 264 hitter. He does not steal bases, so there's no way he's going to bat leadoff for the Mets. The most he's ever had in one season was 10 steals, okay? And he barely even came close any other year. I think the next best was 7. He strikes out a lot. And the truth is, the numbers have just been decreasing over the years. I don't see really how he would work. Now, I think the more recent development and what I think is the much better option would be training for like a Nick Franklin. The Mariners just signed Cano to a 10-year deal, meaning that they need to get rid of Franklin because they obviously have holes in other spots on their squad. They need to fill those holes, and the Mets have a ton of good pitching prospects, obviously, as we know, that would be able to help out the Mariners in the long run. So it would really probably be a win-win for the Mariners and the Mets. But the question is, what type of pitching prospect would it take to get a player like Nick Franklin? Now,
who would you give up?
Who would I give up? Definitely not Montero. But I would definitely give up Matz or Walters and maybe DeGrom. But I really like what I've seen in DeGrom, so I'm sort of leaning not to take DeGrom. Mm-hmm. But last year, first of all, 2 years ago, Nick Franklin was considered to be a top prospect in the league, okay? But last year, he came in, 12 home runs, 45 RBIs, I think, in 102 games played, batted .225. So I don't want that to take away from the fact that he was a top prospect last year. Guys, I mean, Travis d'Arnaud didn't have a good rookie season. So I know Nick Franklin played for longer than he did, but I would still give him another chance over signing Steven Drew. So if you get him for the right price, then I'm trading for Nick Franklin over starting Ruben Tejada, and I would still sign Steven Drew and give him. And maybe what they were saying what they would do is maybe give him an opt out after this year, which would work perfectly for the Mets because they can just sign a better shortstop next year, even if Steven Drew performs on a high level this year. So Ruben Tejada pretty much to me is the last option for them. I would definitely go with Steven Drew or Nick Franklin over Ruben Tejada this year.
All right.
Sean?
To me, it's really it's interesting. It's the fact that the Mets, and this is not really a knock on them per se, but then again, it is. I know that kind of seems confusing, but it's kind of the weird thing that they would rather just much rather sacrifice bats in place of having a guy that can shine with the glove. The Mets have too many guys that just do it with the glove, and that I think is a bit of a problem. If you could just make the routine plays, I mean, look at Dan Murphy. Dan Murphy is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
The
J.J. Hardy. But the question is, which one are the Yankees going to pay? Okay, because looks like obviously Hanley Ramirez is the top shortstop free agent for going into next year. But the question is, which one's going to get off the board first from the Yankees, handing them as much money as they want, and then so assume that's Hanley Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez looks to be the top shortstop in the class next year. I would be fine signing J.J. Hardy or Jed Lowry or Nick Punto.
Or the Cabrera also.
Or Asdrubal Cabrera, which sounds like they might also be in talks for a trade with Asdrubal Cabrera.
That guy is a name that's popped up a lot. Now, what I was saying before my account decided to once again say, "Oh, you're doing a live event." Haha, okay, I'm going to screw up around for you. Anyway, these things do happen. Trust me. Now, with the Mets, it just seems odd the way that they have been so just absolutely starved for offense.
Yeah.
That they would still on the outside, on the defensive side, sacrifice a guy who can hit the ball a little bit to have a guy who can at least make a play. And I was thinking about it, and I'm thinking, well, you have a guy like Dan Murphy, who they needed to put him in a position, and that position was second base. And you know what? It took him a little while. He had to toy with it a little bit in the minor leagues, but he got it done. Dan Murphy got it done, and he became a second baseman that was fairly decent and you know that Dan Murphy can hit.
Yeah.
My question is, and I know that they're supposedly going to give him some opportunities, and who knows? I would hope that maybe if they really don't like their situation and he does good enough, maybe they send him to Vegas to begin the year and work him out at this position for a little bit to get him used to it again, even though he grew up playing the dang position anyway. And that, of course, I'm alluding to is our big 6'3" babyface Miguel Cabrera, aka Wilmer Flores. I mean, listen, the guy has the bat, and the guy has this bat. All right, he has shown signs almost as much as d'Arnaud has anyway, so it really doesn't matter either or. They're both about the same hitter as far as consistency is concerned, okay? With Wilmer Flores playing shortstop, and Bobby Ojeda said it during the game today, okay? If you can make the routine plays, then I think that's really all it is. Just as long as you're not, like, bobbling the ball every time, it's not going to matter. Wilmer Flores is not Eduardo Nunez, okay? He doesn't have a hard time making throws. I see he's able to make the throws from third base, so I'm pretty sure that he could throw a ball to first base from short.
Not the throwing though; it's the agility. You just don't know if he can handle the position.
No, you know what? I have to agree with Sean on this one because
I'll bring up another good point. Finish up.
If you're gonna put Juan Lagares in the field just because he has the glove, then you can't have a second position where you're starting Ruben Tejada for his glove. Because that's essentially what's happening right now, is that people are now just going to the fact that he can field. Because we know he can't hit. So you have to, I mean, I like that point with Daniel Murphy because you're absolutely right. He couldn't, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, he played like crap in the outfield. and they just put him around the couple positions, and they finally found that he could take those routine plays at second base. And I was listening, Bobby O'Kee, he said knocked it out of the park when he said that. As long as Wilmer Flores is making key plays, then it's fine. I'm 100% fine with Wilmer Flores playing shortstop.
Okay. Now here's my argument that's going to end this argument anyway. And there's no debating here. There was a player, and it's kind of like a half trivia question, so prepare yourself.
Yeah.
There was a third baseman, all right, that, he played third base in the latter part of his career, but he was mostly a shortstop, all right? This guy, according to his height and weight, bigger, taller, and even weighs more than Wilmer Flores does. And he is a Hall of Fame shortstop. Almost a first ballot Hall of Fame shortstop. Do you know who I'm referring to?
Jordan, you got this? I have no idea I have no idea.
No.
How about the Iron Man Cal Ripken Jr.?
I don't study players' weights, Sean.
Cal
Ripken
Ripken was a bigger guy.
He was
6'4", and he played the position. Oh, there's another guy who's around the same specs as Wilmer Flores. He plays over in the Bronx. Derek Jeter.
I want to end with one last thing, and this is a praise to Wilmer Flores because the guy works hard. The guy works his butt off. And D. Murph did the exact same thing, and look where he is now. And I would love to see them give Wilmer Flores a chance. It's just the fact that I don't think they're willing to do it.
Well, they should. I think you have to look at the options here, and you have to stop sacrificing batting average, sacrificing offense for prestige out in the field. Because that's going to get you only so far. May I remind you that in the do I really want to bring it up? Well, I'm going to bring it up anyway because, again, I like to try to make the strong point. Game 7 of the 2006 NLCS. Eddie Chavez didn't win the game, did he? Exactly. Well, that one hurt. Sorry. There you go.
That was a stab, Sean. You stabbed me right in the heart.
I make my point, dang it. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, this right here was our fan question of the show, brought to you by Mr. Max Tanner. And I like this question, guys, and there it is right smack dab in front of you. I hope that it's not lagged. Yes, it is.
It doesn't show right now, but...
there it is. It's blowing up now.
There you go.
Wait. That is so far behind. That is fun. Okay. So, Max Tanner says, what year will 90 wins for the Mets not be considered a joke to the rest of baseball? And he says it's not a joke to him. Well, I say, well, that's nice, but we can also try to be reasonable as well. Sandy Alderson, I guess wanted to play we need to try to get ourselves some expectations. We got to try to get these guys rolling. I guess I can understand it. But what do you guys think? And David, we'll start with you, okay?
Yeah. Max, good question, by the way.
Yes. What do you think? What year will you think be the year for when 90 wins might not actually be a joke?
Okay. They call me optimistic. I'm going to say right now.
Well, since you did start the group after all.
They call me... Actually, fact check, you were wrong. Jordan was the one who started the group.
Well...
He started the page. Well, it's not me. I'm not going to I was going to wait till the end to let you know, but it was Jordan. But I am going to say 2015.
Apples and apples.
I'm very optimistic. Because I think, and when I say that, I think that's to me, and I think that's the rest of Major League Baseball. If you see the comments that these guys are making when they're facing a Zach Wheeler, and when they're facing a Noah Syndergaard, and when they have to say after that these guys don't even compare to Matt Harvey and what they face with Matt Harvey. And when you see Buster Olney tweeting, I'm going to put stocks into the 2015 Mets, that means to me a lot. and it means that 2015 is the legitimate year. Okay? But the question really is, because obviously Sandy Alderson said that this year they can be a 90-win team. The question is, can they be a 90-win team this year? And I think, and it's an interesting situation, because, and me and Jordan were talking about this before, that it's not that they can be a 90-win team. It's that they have the potential to do it. Because the thing about the Mets is that they're putting out guys that have done it before, that have had those years. And what I mean by that is you're putting out a Curtis Granderson who's hit 40 home runs in the past. You're putting out an Ike Davis who 2 years ago hit 30. You're putting out a David Wright and a Murphy that had fantastic hitting years last year. I mean, Wright was one of the better hitters in the NL. Murph, is one of the most underrated players in the league. Bat 286 last year. No, I'm pretty sure you can compare him to second baseman in the league, and he's top in most categories for second baseman in the previous year.
Extremely
Offensively. So if you look, and you can even look at more guys, you can say, listen, Travis d'Arnaud, he can have a good year because he's the top catching prospect in the league.
He's got a ton of potential. He's a key. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
And if you can take to me, this is the key. This is what's going to hit it out of the park, legitimately, figuratively and literally. Chris Young, and let me explain to you about Chris Young. Chris Young in 2010 had MVP votes. Now he's been floating. He had one bad year, then he was traded to the A's. And he wasn't given a starting spot on the A's. Now Terry Collins is going to give him a starting spot. I have no doubt about it. First of all, the starting outfielder will be Juan Lagares in center, Chris Young in left, and Curtis Granderson in right field. I have no doubt about that. But if Chris Young can perform at a high level, and he can be behind Curtis Granderson, thus allowing Curtis Granderson to hit, thus allowing David Wright to hit, thus allowing Daniel Murphy to hit, and so on and so forth, then you are potentially looking at a great hitting team and a team that everyone already knows can pitch.
Yes. I totally agree with you. The potential is there. Now, there's a big difference between what's realistic and what's a possibility. For this year, I don't think it's realistic to say we can win 90 wins because we've had so many struggles. There's not tremendous upgrade. I mean, I'm so happy with Granderson. I'm so happy with Chris Young. I'm so happy with Bartolo Colon. It's just we've had so much struggles in the past. Matt Harvey's there. I think the potential is there, and we could possibly win 90 games. The thing is, realistically, it's not going to be this year, and I don't think it's going to be 2015. 2015 is going to be Matt Harvey coming back. We don't know. As much as we love to say he's going to be phenomenal, you can't assume that. He's coming back from a huge surgery. You can't assume he's going to be the same guy. Syndergaard's going to be still getting his feet wet in the MLB. He'll be getting his feet wet this year, but next year will be his first full season. I think 2015 is the year baseball starts to realize that the Mets have some serious pitching prospects. By then, we may have some other free agent signings filling that. We'll figure out the shortstop situation. We're not going to have guys like Ike Davis who aren't hitting. I mean, if he does, then he'll be the first baseman. But if he's not hitting, we're going to have to find a different option. I think around 2016 is the year that we become a legitimate 90-win threat.
2016 for Mr. Jordan Padich. So, to me, it's an interesting thought. Again, can the Mets win 90 games in 2014? The answer is they can, but there's a lot of things that have to happen. Well, for number one, it'd be nice to see guys like Cesar Puello make it to the major leagues maybe in about the first 2-3 months of the season, where he's kind of like an Ike Davis, where it's just like, wow, this guy is hitting so well, where you have to literally move Juan Lagares down, put Chris Young over to center field, then you have yourself Puello in right or Granderson in right, and then you have the other in left with Young in center, and then you have yourself an offense that could either have Davis or Duda or somebody else. Murphy, maybe Flores if they allow it, right, and d'Arnaud. You have a chance to put a full 9 lineup including the pitcher, which apparently Terry Collins thinks might bat them 8th every once in a while. That just goes to show you how offensively depleted the team is. 90 wins with the pitching that they have, including with Syndergaard. It's a possibility, but a lot of things need to happen. And it's a long shot, but listen, Sandy's not far off. And I think, at the end of the season, you have to take a look at maybe, trying to, I wouldn't say solidify it, but I would just try to find yourself a major league first baseman and know what you're going to get out of the guy. Especially if, and this, oh, by the way, this is all without expecting anything from Davis or Duda. If you expect anything out of Davis or Duda and you get something from both of them, well, there might be a little more it might be more than 90. But that's just me.
Sean, you're looking at a pretty weak first baseman class next year, I guess highlighted by Michael Kadire, who's pretty old. He's 30.
Michael Kadire, sorry to cut you off there, but Michael Kadire would probably be the best option.
Yeah.
Only because of the connection with David Wright.
David Wright. No, I see Michael Kadire, but the question, it's kind of interesting because little known fact that they have such a great prospect, Dominic Smith, who they're saying is shooting through the minor league system.
Yeah,
so
he
if you want to give Michael Kadire, he has gray hair, but he's only 34 years of age.
Wait, he'd be a good stopgap guy for Smith.
Yeah, and he would be perfect to bat behind Granderson, no doubt about it. Or if they wanted to even bat him clean up, he would be a perfect fit for a 2-3 year deal if they wanted to give it to him. Because I think what they're really investing in and what their thought process is that Dominic Smith is going to be the real deal.
Yeah, I'm excited for that kid. He sounds like a nice prospect. He's already ranked number 2 among first base prospects. Yeah, and it's pretty exciting.
I'm very, very excited for Dominic Smith and what he can bring. So I think that's going to be – I mean, obviously we said the same thing about this past offseason, but I think next offseason has a lot of potential to be a very, very interesting one.
I think you look at the way that the Mets – and I don't know if you guys seen MLB.com's how they've ranked the top prospects for the Mets. Maybe go over because they did just release them about a couple days ago. So, there's no Met in the top 10 but you see guys like Rafael Montero, Travis d'Arnaud, and Noah Syndergaard who are right there. d'Arnaud being already on the roster, really, and along with Flores, who's 5th, and Cesar Puello, who's 9th. Dominic Smith, as you guys just forementioned, he's 4th on the Mets prospect list. He's right behind Montero, in front of Flores. Mm-hmm. So he's a top 10 prospect. And as you said, he batted .287 in the Gulf Coast League, had 167 at bats, did well, played in Kingsport a little bit. I want to see how he does in Savannah. Maybe he takes the Kevin Plawecki train. Starts in Savannah, then to St. Lucie, then he ends up in Bingo down near the end of the year, where you could say, in reality, maybe a guy you bring in a stopgap like Michael Kadire, because David Wright will be telling the front office to make a push.
Oh, of course.
You have the situation where you're going to have, Dominic Smith is going to make it up the ranks, and you figure that, all right, well, Kadire is going to be there for our first baseman, and let's say that we want to bring up Smith because we think that he's ready to go. So they bring him up in like mid-June, July. Maybe they figure out a way to, work it out with Kadire, whether they make him like a guy who can play the corner outfields decently and play a little first base off the bench. That probably would be a fantastic option. And just for that 1 year in 2015, where where all the chips can be down. And there could be some interesting options, and like I said, there's a lot of different options, a lot of things the Mets can do. But the question is, will they give it a chance to flourish? And if they can give it a chance and it doesn't work, well then what? Shame on us, But you don't know until you try.
But an interesting thing is that it's going to be a lot based on what kind of positions can they fill with interior options.
Right.
And there are a lot of good situations right now, especially like if you look at catcher, you see Travis d'Arnaud, who's already considered a top prospect, but then behind him you have Kevin Plawecki, who is looking phenomenal right now.
Well, he's an insurance policy.
Right, exactly. When you have a lot of these insurance policies, it helps you out a lot, especially when it comes to prospects. It means that they don't have to focus as much on the catcher part because you have a 50% chance on each one that they're going to pan out.
Yeah, wherever Kevin Plawecki hit, you want to look at some numbers. He had about 245 at bats in Savannah. Let's see here. He batted .314. He had 204 at bats in St. Lucie, one level up, 294. So wherever he's playing, he's hit. So, he's a top 10 in the prospect list. And oh, by the way, if you're wondering, for those of you who don't know, how did the Mets get Kevin Plawecki? You remember when Jose Reyes didn't sign with the Mets back in 2012? Yeah, they got him from that.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Kevin Plawecki was drafted on that very selection, which David Wright was actually a cop pick as well. I think from the Mets when they didn't sign somebody else. I can't remember way back then, but. Listen, there's a lot of things to discuss about as far as the future, and we have a lot of time to do it during the spring. But whereas a couple of things that we wanted to go over with you guys, and of course, it's a little something that a lot of baseball fans seem to do before the season really begins. And of course, what I'm referring to as apparently my XSplit webcaster thing is decided to stop working on me. Lovely. But, things... Wow, this is... Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to keep it like that. What we're going to do, we'll turn that sucker off. We don't need a show.
Podcast brought to you by XSplit.
Yeah. It's a great plug because of how... it just does not like to work in the clutch, apparently. Okay, so... It's like Tony Romo. Okay, so we're looking at it. We're playing a little over-under, all right? And we want to thank all the people that are watching this live or on archive, all right? It's a thing called over-under, and we have a couple of them for you. And again, on the Facebook page, of course, it's facebook.com, / We Are Mets Believers. Or just search it up on there. Search it up on the Facebooks if it doesn't work. Looking at it, and of course you can enter your questions on there, and hopefully one time you'll show up on the screen when it works. Yeah, but here we go with our first over and under, and of course it involves the number one prospect, Noah Syndergaard. And the question is, over under, Noah Syndergaard, 20 starts, over under, Jordan?
It's an interesting topic. There, unless this team is playing great early in the season and there's no need for him right away, I think he's going to come up a lot earlier than expected. He had a phenomenal year last year. I personally think he's MLB ready. Many people do as well. I think maybe he gets a month or two in the minor leagues. I know it's very unlikely he breaks camp, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think he gets maybe 1 month or two. Maybe 1 to 3 months in the minors. I think he's going to come up earlier than expected. I think he's going to be a phenomenal pitcher in the major leagues.
Do you think that he will start in AAA? Do you think he'll start in AAA, or do you think that he will start in Binghamton, where he was last year?
Oh, I think there's no doubt that he's going to start in AAA. This organization is so high on him. If they want him here, I think he's going to AAA.
I'm going to bring up another question after David gives him his over-under, and I do. So, David, over-under on Syndergaard, 20 starts, over-under.
This is an under. We saw yesterday against the Tigers that the command was a little off. It was something similar to what we were seeing last year, Zach Wheeler in spring training when he would have great. He would throw very hard stuff, but sometimes the command was a little off. And a second to that, don't fix what's not broken, okay? The last 2 years, the way the Mets have dealt with Zach Wheeler and Matt Harvey was putting them into spring training in their camp, and then bringing them up halfway through the year. And it's worked out perfectly for both of them. So I don't see why they would switch it up for Syndergaard in this situation. They have 5 starters right now. They actually have more than 5 starters. I think fans are excited regardless if Syndergaard's going to be up. I don't think that's an issue. Fans are going to be coming to the games. I'm going to opening day. And I'm not going to be down on the Mets because they don't bring up Syndergaard as soon as they can. I understand the process, and I understand what Sandy Alderson wants to do. If Zach Wheeler and Matt Harvey have worked out fine, why would they change it up? Why would they change up the way they've been doing it?
Those were 2 losing seasons where we've been 74 and 88. This team and organization is sick of losing. Everybody here wants to see winning. They've made the moves. This is the year we start to show that we are a legitimate team in Major League Baseball. And I think Noah Syndergaard is a great way that we can do that. And bringing him up a little earlier than expected, just so maybe he doesn't have Super 2, I don't think it's a huge deal. We're going to have to pay these guys if they're good anyway. I think you bring up Noah Syndergaard. I think he gets over 20 starts.
They have pitching, though. They have Neef, they have G, they have Wheeler, they have Cologne, obviously. And they have 4 or 5 guys other than Syndergaard already competing for that 5th spot. So they signed John Lannon, and they signed Daisuke Matsuzaka in order to fight for that 5th spot. Now, Syndergaard's going to take over for them halfway through. But I give those guys a chance in the majors before I give Noah Syndergaard a chance. I want him to go back down to the minors, obviously work on those command issues. We saw it yesterday. We saw he had command issues. This is the same thing we saw last year with Zach Wheeler, and it worked out fine.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, to me, I think he's going to get just around there. Because, and this is the big question. We know about the Mets' AAA affiliate. It's Las Vegas. Okay. Now, it took a little longer than usual for Wheeler to get finally called up. It also kind of looked like Wheeler he wasn't really comfortable in that ridiculously hitter-friendly league. Do you guys think that the Mets will try to develop Syndergaard in a way where he doesn't have to mentally deal with a league like the PCL, and just go and play again the Eastern League and just have to work a little bit longer to just show that he's very much ready. Remember, the Orioles did the same exact thing with a guy that they cherish quite well, and he played third base for him for the last couple of years, and he's got some pretty good potential. Hopefully he'll be healthy this year. And he goes by the name of Manny Machado, and they've done the same thing.
Sean, I heard reports before on Mets blog that they were ready to just completely start him in Double-A, not for the fact that he's not ready for Triple-A, but just not to mess with his groove. Like, it looked like Zach Wheeler last year, the fact that he was pitching in a hitter-friendly ballpark like Las Vegas, and it looked like it sort of affected him in a way.
It did. It totally affected him. I think it's a factor. I don't know if they're going to bring him down to Double-A. I think it plays into what I said before about him getting over the 20 starts. I think they're not going to want him spending more than half a season in this PCL where it's completely hitters friendly, and it totally affected Zach Wheeler last year. Pitchers have said it's a thin air. It's hard to pitch there. I think he's going to come up.
Except, they say that Double-A, it's true. Double-A is harder to pitch in than it is in Triple-A across the board, because you're facing the top prospects in baseball. The top prospects in baseball are in Double-A. Triple-A is just scrubs, but that are in between the stage of being called up to the majors, or that just got sent down because they're not performing well enough in the majors. So, you might even see them maybe going to the Double-A option for the simple reason that they want them to be facing better competition in Double-A.
Yeah, it's a very possible thing, and again, you learn from Wheeler's experience. It's been with with how the Mets prospects have been. I would, at least they have hitters coming up now, so at least now confidence will be built, at least for guys like Puello and guys like Nimmo when he does eventually make it up to that level anyway. It'll definitely be interesting to see what the Mets do with Syndergaard. I would actually be for him. I would be for putting him in Double-A again because you're pitching against because you're still again as it was said, it's a bit harder to pitch there, but it's not as hard to pitch there as it is to pitch in the PCL. So I think you work it that way. Let Syndergaard take care of that. Take care of the younger hitters. See what he can do. Really, just polish his stuff and then bring him up from Double-A. You don't have to have a guy in Triple-A to bring him up. You can bring him up straight from Double-A. It has happened before. A guy like Steven Matz who hasn't even smelt St. Lucie, who knows, could start in Triple-A all of a sudden. You never know.
Jose Fernandez is a perfect example of a guy who came up from Double-A, and he had a Cy Young nomination last year.
Right. Now, taking a look at this last little bit, our last over/under before we will call it. I'll call it a week, and we'll get back at it again next week. The over/under. And we were able to actually see this guy today.
Today, yeah.
Yeah, earlier today, close out the game. All right. Now, right. You have Bobby Parnell. Okay, Bobby Parnell, and the number is 30, and that of course is retaining to the number of saves that he will have this season. Over under 30. We'll start with David.
This is an easy one. That's over. I mean, the guy through his career has been progressing, and slowly he's been adding on more saves a year. But the main question is going to be if he stays healthy. Okay, if he stays healthy, then he is going to have. I think he'll have significantly more than 30 saves. First of all, the fact that the Mets aren't going to be able to produce runs as it is, so you're going to see a lot more save opportunities.
Right.
He has the stuff. We've seen him throw hard. He has a new catcher that everyone's raving that he can call a game. Travis d'Arnaud can call a game apparently. So we've seen Bobby Parnell hit 100 on the gun. So if Travis d'Arnaud is showing him where to pitch that ball, and he's throwing 100 miles per hour, then there's no doubt in my mind that Bobby Parnell will perform on a tremendous level this season.
Yeah, definitely. I got to agree with that. I think he's definitely got the potential for 30 saves. The only thing that's going to hold him back, of course, is the injury, which has really hurt him so far in his career. Last year he was having such a great season, and then that herniated disc in his neck, kept him out. I think with a better team, he's going to get more opportunities, as David said. I think he's got the stuff. I think he's going to be a good closer, and with that beard, he could become an elite one.
I think the number to me is going to be over. It's going to be something. It's going to be something that the Mets are going to be able to have. The real question is, will they be able to get to the top of the ninth inning up, or will they have the pitching to just keep it a nothing draw all the way through? We saw that happen a lot during last season, and we want to hope that won't be the case in 2014 when it comes to Bobby Parnell and the rest of that Mets bullpen, which does show some promise. I like that they're going with the way of the Cardinals are just kind of letting some of their young arms come in like that.
Definitely.
It'll be interesting to see. We have a lot more spring training left to go, folks. Listen, opening day is just right around the corner, and it'll be a good one. So, guys, it was a success. It was a very good show. It was nice to really just break it down again for the first time in a while. When it comes to the Mets, so it was good to have you guys on the show, and we'll be able to do it again next week, eh?
Yeah, thanks so much, Sean. Anybody who has any suggestions for the show, anything we want us to talk about, maybe definitely contact the page. I'm always available. Message us, post on our wall. Keep being active, and
Yeah, we want a lot of fan interaction, so if you have any ideas for segments, any questions, we're completely open to any suggestions or comments you have.
and
There
you
you
gotta
go.
believe.
Yeah, there you go.
Because we believe.
There you go. We Believe, episode 1 for Panich and Schwartzman.
And rhetoric.
That's me. Yes. Okay. For us. There you go. For us. We will see you all next week. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, you got to believe, as was said. Take care, everybody.